Okay, here's a quick tutorial on winter sowing. Someone requested just how to do it. I've been showing results, but I haven't shown how I actually put it together. So I use an awl to poke holes. So that's what I'm going to have here. So I'm going to show two different bottle sizes. This is about a 20-ounce Gatorade bottle, and this is a big juice bottle, one of those Simply Juice bottles. First step, wash them out, rinse them out, take off any labels that are on them. You want to make sure you have something that's clear. You don't want dark colored plastic, and you don't want like a bunch of labels covering it. The idea is you want sun to get in, so make sure they're clear. For you, this probably won't be an issue, but if you have any big labels up here, you want to take them off. Now I just start with the awl and poke holes in the bottom. This might be a little precarious here. The awl works really well for this, and I just poke, I don't know, depending on this, maybe a dozen holes, small holes. See, they're real small. About a dozen small holes in these big ones just on the corners. And then these I poke, I don't know, maybe 6 holes in them. Just go around the, where these lines come out, poke holes there. So I'll finish that off. Then, I don't know if this really makes a difference or not, but I poke holes in the top to help let a little more moisture in and out. I don't know, I did it last year. It seemed to, they did fine with that. I don't know if it helps that much or not. So, again, here I would just do it like that, just to help the moisture get in and out a bit. Then, you need to make a cut around the middle. So if you're still kind of new, you might want to draw a line, but I've been doing so many of these that I just poke a hole here and poke a hole here. So this will be the hinge, and then I'll cut all the way around from that hole going around to this hole. And then that'll be how I open it. Same here, I'll poke a hole here, and I'll poke a hole here, and this part will be my hinge, and I'll cut all the way around. Okay, and this is how you fill these up with dirt and get them ready to plant. I just use a regular potting mix, Miracle Grow or whatever. It's pretty cheap and reliable. You could also use a seed starting mix. Don't use garden soil because that's not really meant for containers. So you just want to get something that has some of this vermiculite. It's a little bit softer and lighter. And I just pre-moisten it a bit. Not too much because we're getting a lot of snow right now, so these are getting a lot of moisture outside, but you want to give them a little bit of a start. Alright, now this part is pretty straightforward. You just put enough dirt in here, let me move this. Put enough dirt in here to fill up the bottom part of this container. You want to push it down a bit. You don't want it very compact, but you don't want a bunch of air space in there. So I like to go around the edges a little bit and just make sure it's in there pretty firmly, and leave, I don't know, maybe 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch at the top here to put your seeds in and to seal it up. So that's about good for that one. And then obviously the littler, smaller container requires less dirt, but you want to make sure it's in there, and you just want to check down here and make sure there aren't big air pockets. Sometimes with the when containers have these different shapes on them and stuff, the dirt can get a little stuck on them, so just push it down. Again, you're not making it very compact, you just want to make sure it's firm in there. That's like for any seed potting, that's not any sort of new information, but goes the same for winter sowing. Okay, so now we have two containers that are poked, cut, and filled, and now the fun part is putting seeds in them. All right, here we go with the fun part. We get to put seeds in. I'm just going to do these two natives from Prairie Moon Nursery. This is Bush's Poppy Mallow and Guara. You want to pick seeds that do well with a bit of frost. They can handle a bit of frost, especially if you put them out. Here we are in zone 5. It's February. It's freezing outside. So these plants are good because they need cold stratification. So they're happy out there for a month or 2 months in the cold. And looking for plants like that. If you're in warmer zones, you can start warmer plants earlier, obviously. So I'm just going to sprinkle some seeds in. I tend to overseed, which if I have a lot of seeds, I tend to overseed. If I only have a few, then I'm a little more careful. But then that requires, you know, taking them apart in the spring when they come up. But I'd rather put a few more in, make sure I get something out of it, and deal with the consequences later. I don't know. I always have too many plants. I don't know. I do have a lot of places that I put them, though. We have a big front yard garden, a backyard garden. We're always expanding our home garden. I planted our community garden, and I have 2 park gardens that I help plant and maintain in our town. So, and then we do a plant sale, and I give plants to friends. So I always have lots of places for my plants to end up. Okay, this I'm definitely overseeding. That's okay. I can go back and spread them out a bit here. Okay, so obviously that's super straightforward. Just put the seeds in there and then, you know, cover them up how much ever, you know, check and see if they need to be covered or if they need light to germinate, and your seed packet will tell you that. I'm not overly careful with this part just because, you know, I think it's like simulating outside. You don't always get it exactly perfect when the seeds spread outside. So do the best you can and see what comes up in the spring, and then if it works, do it again that way, and if not, adjust it for the next year. And then I just give them a little bit of spray. Try not to overdo it because they are getting a lot of moisture outside right now. I just want to make sure those seeds are in there really well. Okay, that's the seed planting part, which most people should be pretty familiar with. It's just the same as starting seeds inside. And next we're going to do closing it up. So I use this paint marker. Hopefully that's... yeah, I use this paint marker. I used this last year. It says oil-based Sharpie paint marker. Marks on wood, glass, and all of my labels lasted last year through snow and wind and rain and everything. So I just use this right on the outside, and then just regular duct tape. And in fact, I ran out of duct tape for a while last year. I used some of the, you know, decorative duct tape my kids had. Any brand will really do. So obviously the first step is to close these up, put them back like that, and then get a length of duct tape that is about the right size to go around your container. I've done this so many times I kind of have an idea. If not, you can measure. And I usually start, so the hinge is back here. I usually start right here in the front part and go like that and go back towards the hinge. It's usually the easiest way to keep it in place while you're taping. And then with these, they're a little bit more wobbly, but similar idea. If you really need to do a couple of strips of tape, do that. But another trick is to put the tape on here, on the bottle part, especially with these juice bottles, and it holds this still, so you can tape it. It's like having an extra set of hands. And there we go. You just want to make sure, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to make sure that the part that you cut is covered. That's the main job of the duct tape. And now, that's the sound of the pen, sorry. That was loud. There's a little ball in there. Okay, so now I just write on here, Guara, and you know, I just don't necessarily write the whole name out and everything. I just write what will help me remember it. And then I put the date on here. I think it's the 22nd today. I did not put dates on last year and I really regretted it, so I highly recommend putting the dates on. And then this is Bush Mallow, I'll just call it. because that should help me be able to tell what it is. And then the date down here. There we go. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's just for your own use. And that's it, you're done. The next step is to put them outside. I forgot to mention one more step. You want to make sure that you update your spreadsheet. I keep mine on my phone, and it just lets me know what I sowed, so I know what to sow next, because you can't really see them out there when they're all covered up. And here they are going outside. This is the west side of our house, and you can't tell, but there's about 100 bottles, probably more than 100 bottles tucked in there. There's some here on the steps because it was too icy to put them down there. We have so much snow, so I've just been digging a spot out and sticking bottles in, and when stuff starts to thaw, I'll rearrange it. Okay, and I'm just gonna nestle them in here in the snow. Let's see, sometimes you have to fiddle a bit. Now, a lot of people will be putting these out in areas that aren't covered in like a foot of snow. And in that case, you just put them on the ground. That's what I did for the ones that are buried here. And then I'm just covering these up a bit because it's pretty cold out. The snow acts as a good insulator here. And so covering them up is helpful. Wait, I keep putting a few more out every day, which seems like a good rhythm for me. Some people wait and do them all at once, but I just kind of fill them up as we get new containers. So hopefully this was helpful and it'll get you started on winter sowing. I forgot to explain why this tomato cage is here. It might seem weird, but we get a lot of wind, and before we had snow, all the bottles that were in this section would get blown over a lot, so I put this tomato cage in front to help them stand up, but now obviously everything's covered, it's not blowing over, so I'm just kind of filling in going this way. But yeah, that was the end of the bottles before the snow started. And here you can see with some of these bottles there's snow inside of them, and that's okay. These are varieties that can be planted, you know, in the fall and stay in the garden all winter, so getting snow on top of them is totally fine for their germination process.